Welcome back, everybody, to the Lethal Introspection Podcast. I am your host, Matt, and with me, as always, Jose.
Hello.
And Hannah.
Hello.
And we just watched The Gift, which was a really sweet horror mystery movie that Hannah and I have watched before. And I would love to pass it off straight away to the newcomer in the room, Jose.
Yes.
Give me some first impressions.
First podcast. A long time listener. First time.
Big
first
fan.
Time caller. This movie was fucking sweet.
Yeah, you
It
liked
was nice and down to earth in all of its content, but at the same time with a very strong, essentially, just a really good through line the entire way. Really kept me guessing. I was 100% unsure who the antagonist was. I am the kind of person who really likes to nail that kind of thing down early, just so I can begin inspecting and dissecting motives. And this movie really made it difficult to do that because the goalpost kept moving around in terms of who's committing the error on who, and I thought that in terms of very first impressions, badass.
Super.
Very cool.
Awesome. Hannah, on the second rewatch now, coming away from it, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it was a few years ago that we watched this movie for the first time, so I had forgotten a ton of the details. I knew like the broad brushstrokes for sure, but I think I enjoyed this movie more on the second watch because there was definitely like some subtle details here and there throughout that I wasn't really privy to on my first watch through, and yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yep, I'll just piggyback on both of you guys in that avenue. This movie, like Hannah was saying, definitely forgot a lot of the details and spent a lot of time watching the movie feeling very uncomfortable and very stressed out, which I think is what the movie wanted me to feel.
Yeah.
And it did a great job. It wasn't... I was watching it so much to the extent of like I wasn't even thinking about the sort of meta conversation afterwards. I was just really enjoying the flick, and I think 3 votes for fucking badass so far. We get to ratings at the end, but the second thing I wanted to ask, and I hope that this just leads into the broader sort of conversation. We can get into whatever, but what do you guys think is the gift? What is the gift?
The truth.
The truth?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, the truth is the gift. Just in that by having the truth come out, that guy's life gets unraveled. And his wife and child don't have to get more limited contact to an individual who's very manipulative in a very toxic way. On top of the fact that by having the truth come out, the man from his past also gets some relief in terms of, just feeling as though he also got one up on his bully going forward. That's my personal take on what I think the gift is.
So there's a conversation at the dinner table the first time that Gordo's character has dinner with them, where he's talking about negative life experiences and bad things that happen to him, and he refers to bad things that happen to you as a gift in his like perspective. So I kind of think the gift in this movie is all the negativity that Gordon's character brought into Simon's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Hannah. Just because when as the first time viewer of the movie and taking in the intentions as I understood them relative to who I thought the protagonist was and who the building antagonist was, I thought that was like a snipe at the fact that they had just lost their baby. I thought perhaps that this was a situation wherein we're talking about a stalker who has been privy to their life far before they come here, But when he figures that now they're gonna be in the same zip code, oh baby, like
Now that
that's
it's convenient
yeah,
for me.
now yeah, exactly.
I got time.
Yeah. I'm an ex-con. I mean, I ain't going nowhere. I mean, trivia night's pretty consistent, so I mean that's all right. And
I got that going for me.
yeah,
I
and
got
at
the
this and
sweet
at this point,
gig.
he was still a driver to those wealthy folk that had
Mhm.
that really nice house, right? So I
Mhm.
mean, he was doing pretty okay. That's how I felt. That I was like, okay, so this guy has like been digging up on them. He knows the fact that she had like a miscarriage or whatever, and now is coming to harp on this guy lightly. I thought he was gonna steal his woman. I genuinely thought that that's where the movie was gonna go. I thought this guy was going to essentially woo his wife away from him,
Mhm.
and because it honestly felt like that's where the movie was going.
I love how hard the movie plays that angle because even on this second watch through, knowing the end, I'm like, wait a second. Hold
Wait,
on.
do I remember this movie correctly?
Yeah, I think I might forgetting something.
Yeah, I always see it as like some kind of a flex, and I don't know if that's because I don't know. I'm like some of like the way that I deal with people is similar a little bit to the leading female character where you assume people are just nice, or whatever and you entertain them. And like a lot of the weird stuff that he does like dropping by when she's there alone, I tend to see that as like a flex to make Simon uncomfortable.
Mm,
It's like I'm
okay.
coming by and
Is that how
visiting your
you felt?
wife.
Yeah, because I want to dig into how you guys felt the first time you watched the movie.
Mhm.
Like as opposed to like now, like revisiting your feelings,
Yeah.
a second time through. If you guys could, I know it's been a couple of years, but if you guys could see if you can recall like what your first feelings that the movie actually produced in you, because I gotta tell you, I mean the movie really does tight turns really, really well the entire time. There was never a moment where the movie was going in one direction for too long. Like there
Mm.
was always one thing that made the movie pivot in such a way that now, goddamn fucking names, um, like one guy's the protagonist, another guy's the antagonist,
Mhm.
and it's like such a 50-50 situation, and like one extra stone on one side tips it over, be like, oh no, this guy's an asshole, no, this guy's totally justified in the way he's handling things, and just a couple more instances of information then make you be like, oh no, this guy totally fucking deserves what's happening to him, and thank goodness that
Mm.
things are happening in this way, all the way through. It's just a very teeter-totter morality
Mhm.
situation in terms of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they really make you like yeah, I forget his name now too. Michael Bluth.
Yeah.
Simon.
Yeah, Simon. They really make you like trust this guy very continuously
Oh, I
throughout most of the
disagree.
movie. Oh, really? I
Yeah.
think maybe I'm thinking of yeah, maybe I'm like reminiscing on like the first time I watched it. Maybe that's what sparked this
Which
was
is
what
kind of what
Jose
I'm kind
asked.
of
Yeah.
like. I want to get you guys back
Yeah,
because
because I
just a little twist on our normal angles of how we do things,
Mhm.
because it's
yeah,
normally you guys,
barrage you with
feeling. Oh
questions.
no, not only
No.
that, but just like giving a second viewing feel as to the movie. I'm trying to
Yeah.
see how you guys because this movie was so thrilling,
Mm-hmm.
and kept its cards very close to the chest the entire
Yeah.
time, that I really would like to know how you guys felt when you didn't know the end of the movie.
Yeah. What I remember feeling is something like this dude is a pretty good dude. Like he seems like a decent husband. He seems like he's got a good job. He seems like he treats his wife pretty well up until like the latter third of the movie or something. Um, and I remember just being like sort of bamboozled. I think it was part of the reason that I enjoyed it so much because it's like just withholding the fact that he is lying about a lot of shit to her until after the second half of the movie. I'm like, man, this guy, like, he's just getting fucked over by this weirdo Gordo dude. Like, this Gordo dude is trying to pull some shit. And poor Jason Bateman, he's just trying to live life outside of Chicago, getting over the miscarriage and stuff like that. And
Getting over his pill popping wife and
yeah, his
trying to
pill popping
continue
wife.
living his life with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the movie does a great job of making it so it seems like enough things are happening to him that he does, like, like that's the thing about antagonism, right? Like you have to be doing as an
Mhm.
antagonist to others in order to be able to gain that moniker, while as a protagonist you have to be deflecting essentially what life and the antagonist is throwing at you the entire time. And the movie makes it feel, as though Simon is doing that to the best of his ability, just, deflecting the miscarriage by just trying to move his wife to a new location, trying to, in his, you know, now that we know, warped way of thinking, trying to reduce her stress by essentially vegetizing her by becoming a housewife, and, like his hell is genuinely built on good intentions in
Mhm.
that way, especially because he's got this weird pathology where he very, very much minimizes the evil or bad doings that he does.
Mhm.
I don't I don't know. My first watch through, and this is one of the things that I like about this movie from my own experience, is I felt really conflicted in this movie. Like I think they lay it on heavy with Gordon early in the movie. Everybody feels uncomfortable with Gordon, even if you're just trying to size up if he's just a little awkward
Mhm.
or like there's something weird going on, because he is like he's pretty intrusive with how much he's like showing up and participating in their lives.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Simon's character makes me uncomfortable really early in this movie and did on my first watch through. And I think the biggest thing about it for me is the way that he behaves when Gordon first approaches him is weird. Like he gets really, really uncomfortable. And then when he recounts it to his wife and when he talks about Gordon to his wife, even early in the movie, he doesn't do that thing that most reasonable adults that I interact with do, where you give like other adults like the benefit of the doubt. Like he seemed perfectly nice or anything like that. He's very negative about Gordon, and it has always, even like the early more subtle things have always come off as like bullyish to me. Even when he writes like weirdo on the whiteboard, like he's referencing back to how they used to pick on him in high school, and he's like readopting it, and that always gave me like an icky feeling early in this movie.
Now I'm like wondering if there's like a gender thing that like you're noticing these red flags about this guy's behavior that like as a guy I might not recognize.
If we
'Cause he
bumped
seemed like such a nice
into
dude, at the beginning of the movie.
I would feel weird about you if you were talking like that about someone that we bumped into from your high school days.
Sure, yeah, the way that
But what if they're genuinely fucking weird back then?
yeah, what if
It's high
Gordo
school,
really was a
though.
weirdo? I mean,
It
there's some of
was
them.
it's difficult because in
It's hard to judge.
hindsight, all of those lines, that Simon says,
Mm.
now have the extra veiling of the fact that he wants to be able to, as quickly as possible, make the delineation between like who Gordon was and who he was back in the day. And the fact that I didn't even know that guy. He talked to me, I don't even remember who he was, is
Mhm.
one of the first things that he said, which is, horribly not true. Like this,
Yeah.
like he's one of his cornerstone people himself. Like at this point, he'll never forget him in that way. And you can really tell because he believes that the paradigms that worked in high school will work again in his adult life.
Mhm.
A couple months went by where no instance of Gordon was in his life. And in that time, he decided that doing the exact same thing that he did back in the day, which is just, tell a lie about somebody in order to be able to get ahead, will be able to work. And it's like, thank goodness that it didn't, that he got his comeuppance in that way.
Mm.
I think that's like your comment about him like seeing the differences between, because he said like he referred to himself in some way as like very different than who he was in high school, and says that Gordon's like the same really early on, which I think is interesting, just laying that out after such minimal interaction with him. But it's also like he says he was a weirdo, but he doesn't give specific examples of why he was a weirdo or something. Like, I feel like to label someone as a weirdo for the rest of their lives and share that information with other people, there's got to be like some pretty serious weird offenses.
Mhm.
I'm gonna honestly say that I don't even believe that that weirdo thing was real. I
Mm.
genuinely believe that that whole like nickname situation wasn't true. Uh, just from the sense that it's just another veil that he's using in order to be able to make it so his wife becomes disarmed to wanting to continue trying to foster any type of relationship with this guy. Be like, I'm gonna tell his what my wife, she's weird. He's weird. We used to call him weirdo. That's what I mean.
It's like priming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he doesn't want them talking, because he doesn't want her to learn what
Mm-hmm.
because there's also the first time that I feel really gross about Jason Bateman's character is like in that house where he's doing like a really unflattering impression of him, and he's really graphic about it to his wife. I think she calls him crass or something like that.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he
both.
was
Yeah.
both,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
because he was like he wants to nail you, like he's like actively trying to drive her away from him. He's like embedding the idea that this guy's disgusting and creepy in her
Mm-hmm.
head.
No, and it makes perfect sense because this guy has a secret that would make her look at her husband 100% in a way that she's not into.
Yeah,
Especially because as the movie goes on, the subtext is really all about uh his wife. You know what I mean? Like his
because she was
story,
bullied.
his story is very, very, forward facing, but his wife's backstory is essentially told in reverse through Gordon, essentially, where
Yeah.
one can assume that she could have just as easily been the subject of a nasty enough rumor that would have driven her to the same kind of parallel, downs in her life.
Yeah, he referenced her being bullied when they
Oh no,
got in
she
that
he knows,
argument.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that she's in the time that they've been together, she's been honest with him enough to tell him like, yeah, I used to get bullied when I was a kid. Girls used to laugh at me for X, Y, and Z. And I'm sure that he, being the bully that he is, probably downplayed it in the sense that, oh, kids will be kids. Like I'm sure that whatever was happening didn't really mean as much as you think it meant to the people who were doing
Mhm.
it to you. As an ex-bully, let me tell you that.
Actually, I
Quote
have a lot of
unquote
Yeah,
background
ex
knowledge.
bully.
yeah. Let me play a hypothetical here and say I was a bully, right?
And I don't care about any of that
Yeah,
bullying.
exactly.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that I don't give a shit.
Personally, I don't
Doesn't
fucking
I
keep
don't
care.
give
me
a
up
fuck.
at night.
So you're kind of stupid for
You know what? That's really
continuing to care?
interesting. Like he, after recognizing Gordon, and he knows about what he did with Gordon in the past,
Mhm.
he still invites the guy over and still goes out. Like it just says so much about how strong that pathology that he has about like you are what you make in your life, and sure people can be dicks and assholes, but it's up to you to fucking overcome it. Like you got to quit being a baby and shit. And that pathology was so strong that he still is like, yeah, come over,
Mhm.
have dinner, and then yeah, we'll go to your house and have dinner.
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to hyper normalize a situation
Mhm.
and patch it up with every little thing that he possibly can. And Tim's like, no, we're adults. And now we live in an adult world where those things that happened in the past are in the past. And if you're still thinking about them, well, you're fucking stupid. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? It's been 3,000 days. The fuck is wrong with you? Like that kind of thing makes it so, like you said, that pathology is unfortunately very successful most of the time because you're operating with other adults who might have also been bullies, might have also been bullied but not to the degree that Gordon was, to be so hyper traumatized about it that you don't that you'd rather not talk about that kind of situation than like get too deep into it. We're like, yeah, I
Mhm.
used to get bullied a little bit as a kid, you know what I mean? But let's not. I'm sure everybody was at one spectrum or the other in terms of like who you are as a child. Unfortunately, everybody starfishes a little differently in terms of like what section of their like personality like profile they like fall deeper into. And unfortunately, kids being as primal as they are, they genuinely do pivot deeper into more the extrovert wins at this
Mm.
point. Like, we don't know enough words, and this guy's saying a lot of them,
Mhm.
So
So he knows what he's talking about.
yeah, exactly. I'm not willing to talk that much, but he is, and that's something.
What is that quote for the? You're saying a lot of big words right now, and I don't, I don't understand
don't
them.
I think-
40-year-old virgin, I think it
Mm.
was. Did I find that disrespectful?
I think isn't that Charlie from Always Sunny?
I think it's
No?
Kevin Hart
I think
in
that joke
40-year-old
had-
virgin.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking to the I forget his name.
No, that yep. A pivot of that joke has been worked a couple of times because Charlie said the same thing to the lawyer when they were like
Something
trying to
like
go tit
that.
for tat with each other.
What did he say? I
And
forget.
that whole like the parallel of
That
being like you're
spiel.
saying like really big words and like
Yeah.
I'm not into it, you know?
Yeah, just Charlie, and then he's like filibustering.
He doesn't know what it means.
That's exactly right. Well, there you go, audience. Your quota of one It's Always Sunny reference within
Joke
every
per
podcast. Yeah. Hey, at the end of the year, put down the minute mark of every time we do that, and you'll get a prize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll send you something.
Yeah,
us your
put it in the
address.
comments. I mean, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're people of our word. We're not liars like Simon. To pivot it all back to the movie.
Yeah. Just to pick up on that pivot a little bit, I think it's almost like Simon can't help but gaslight. And that's like something about manipulative personalities is like it becomes like a gut reaction, like a defense mechanism, that they have. Because I think part of the reason he's inviting and he's open with like going to Gordon's house for dinner and stuff at first is part of that. Like, we're adults now and I'm acting normal. And therefore, it's ridiculous for you to be like milking something that happened in high school. You like lay that implication down.
Mhm,
I've seen people do that before.
Oh, for sure. Damn, I was just about to say something. God damn it. Yeah, what you had just finished saying really.
What was I saying?
I will.
Sorry.
Not you. Hannah.
Oh.
You weren't saying
Yeah,
anything.
you weren't saying anything.
You were
Yeah.
just sitting
Were you
there
were you
quietly.
pretending? Were you imagining that you were saying something?
That's a good point. I made that point.
Damn, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
glad
yeah.
I'm glad that's on record.
Want me to play back the tape? I'll play back the
It's like that comic that like floats around on Reddit once in a while. That's like, you made this? I made this.
You're welcome.
Uh,
Yeah. Another thing that I was thinking about is like, especially on this rewatch, was justification and like how appropriate do you guys think some of the means to, like you so eloquently put, get the truth out there?
good question.
You think that like Gordo maybe crossed that line at any point in your mind?
Or Simon, just to add him into that equation.
Yeah, well, we can agree Simon's a fucking terrible person.
Yeah, but he
Obviously.
does think his wife is in danger.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I think we should talk about both. I think it would be interesting.
And
good
at the end
point,
of the
yeah.
day, his wife is in danger,
Yeah.
because this dude did knock out his wife. Like, which is what, when we were watching the movie, audience, like I actively said, I love the ambiguity of when they finished the videotape of the DVD that Gordon sent Simon, because the fact that you don't actually know whether he actually raped her or it was just or it's just him fucking with his mind
Mm-hmm.
is the perfect place to leave it, because it keeps Gordon's reputation that's been trying to be built throughout the movie not wholly tarnished
Yeah.
as a result of it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it leaves you in a situation where you really do, like, if you've been watching the movie from a position where you slowly but surely have been wholly eroded to the trust that you can have with Simon's character, you'll feel the catharsis of being like, oh fuck yeah, like this guy now lives in that dark and toxic ambiguity that he put Gordon through his
Mhm.
entire life.
Yeah.
Because that's a shitty thing about gaslighting at the end of the day, is the fact that the memory is so fucked that you can come to believe lies.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Easy.
and if people actively keep trying to make you believe that that's what happened, or trying to, like in The Witch, make you confess, quote unquote, to things that you're not doing, it can really mess with your mind
Yeah.
ultimately, to the degree that even if you are an innocent person, you will live with a sinner's mentality the entire time.
And his wife is isolated. She's, at home by herself all the time, which I think can like grossly amplify the effects of being gaslighted because you don't have other people to
Hmm.
bounce things off of.
Oh my gosh.
Got it?
Do you guys know I remember the first thought that I had, which I will bring out later, but this brand new thought that I'm thinking about in terms of Gordon's life, right? Like do we want to believe that he actually does have children and an ex-wife?
I don't believe any of that.
I don't think so either.
You don't believe that?
I don't. Yeah, I think it was all part of his.
Where
'Cause he recorded
So
them.
do you think that the reason he left was in order to be able to have him be on candid camera?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, he
Okay.
already had a recording device somewhere in that.
Oh no,
strange-
for sure,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
He knew that this dude would act the fucking fool at
Yeah.
some point.
I think he listened to it in real time from away from the house, and that's why he was a
That's
little
how
rattled
he knew
when he
was
came
the
back.
good time to come back. It's like, okay, they're figuring too much out,
Yeah.
Okay, then that quenches that quenches the other question that I had, because it can work both ways. That's what's really nice about it, is because of the fact that, let's imagine life from Gordon's perspective, right? Let's imagine that he does have this wife and these two kids, and he maintains his life between his bar work and his driver work, and he can actually keep that shit going. But he actually went to the military, and he's still got this high school PTSD situation that he's got going on. He figures, that and let's say that it genuinely is serendipity that he saw this fucking guy at the store. Like, holy shit, the universe so tiny that he actually crossed paths with this guy in this way.
Mhm.
And it ends up being the fact that his ex-wife, having heard about this shit many times at this point, is just like listening to his obsessing about, like, oh fuck, like I saw this guy, like, oh my gosh, like this could be the moment kind of situation, to the degree that
That's an interesting.
it
take.
would naturally cause a rift no matter what, of being like, because at the end of the day, Gordon was elaborate. He was spending a lot of time with what he was doing, from putting in the koi fish, to killing the koi fish, to taking the dog, to bringing back the dog.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, correct. Yeah. I mean, I'm leaning toward he took the dog. I personally,
I mean, it
leaning-
seemed like Mr. Bojangles liked him.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
know, he's like, as a friendly dude, it'd be easy to come.
Yeah, I was wondering,
When he had a key to the house.
one of those, like,
Mhm.
I'm pretty keened up on like movie tropes, and I was like wondering, I was like, when they first met each other and like the dog came out, I was really waiting for the dog to bark at
Yeah,
him.
because dogs are intuitive.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Like, dogs got that like light intuition as to like people's intent as like they're coming in, and
But
it
that dog
didn't.
was raised with a narcissist, so his sensors are probably very dull.
That dog's probably gaslit as fuck. Yeah.
Well, he seems off to me, but what do I know?
Yeah.
That's just how most people are,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Or
I'm
just liars,
crazy.
just straight liars.
My gut about people is always wrong. My dad told me that.
I think dogs can smell liars. Like, oh, this fucking guy.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that. Imagine if it smells lightly like shit all of the time, right?
Mm.
And your owner is a fucking liar, so you just have to become used. You become dead to the smell of shit.
You smell like lies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You become
Mhm.
dead to this.
I mean, what?
Like, you can't smell it anymore after a while.
Not to go on like a long, not to go on like a biological length situation like that, but I mean, you consider how like the way we got dogs is by essentially bartering with wolves, right? And it's like the
Mm-hmm.
wolf was willing to stick around because we were true to our word in the sense that you get the scraps, you help us out, you get a good bite. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like we're here and chilling, you know what I mean, together. Like that's, you dog now, and the wolf's like, all right, cool. Like I'm down for that.
That's fine.
But now you're fucking lying,
Hold on, bro.
Bark.
This relationship was built on trust.
Trust, yeah, thousands of years of trust. All right, our people have a covenant. All right,
Our people have a covenant.
Excuse me, but woof the fuck.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the dog also doesn't look starved or like he eats, but like if you see a really hungry dog eat, they tend to get like a little bit weird about food when they get reintroduced to food. Which, like, on that note, pretty irresponsible, depending on how many days he was gone, to just like give him a big bowl of food.
Okay.
Refeeding is
Doggy
dangerous.
mom.
Whoa. Yeah, very esoteric.
Yeah.
Little tip for all you dog owners out there starving or treating your dogs.
Let me preface that, yeah, like don't starve your dog first and foremost. But
Let me just see if this refeeding thing is like Hannah says. No, don't do that.
no, look it up.
Okay.
Do your research. If your dog might have been starving for a few days, be careful.
Yeah. So do you guys think? I know you probably already do because you said so. But do you think that Gordo both took Mr. Bojangles and killed the fish?
I think so.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he gifted them fish food.
I think the end of the movie when he takes off the brace showcases the fact that he's willing to go through quite a bit of lengths in order to be able to have his plans go through.
Sure.
I think he knows enough that he's intentionally stressing out Robin by doing things like that. Because if he knows about her past, if he has done his homework, then he's familiar with the idea that she might start taking pills again, if she gets stressed out or feels unsafe enough. And if that happens, they're going to overlook her taking a
holy
tumble in the
shit, Hannah.
house.
That's a very good point. Do you think that he
Because they glossed
catalyzed
over it.
her desire to start taking pills? That makes a lot of sense because she mentions to Simon the fact that when he confronts her about it, that the reason why she's taking pills is because she feels so paranoid the entire time.
Yeah, if she passed out in the house and wasn't taking pills, we would have had much more of a conversation about that in the
Well,
movie.
she passed out because he made her pass out, though.
Yeah, but they didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have been like, what do you mean you passed out in the hallway? Why?
Which adds a lot of credence to the fact that she's like, hey, I got this fucking pill popping thing down, all right? Like, you ain't gonna catch me fucking falling over it, all right?
I'm an
I
experienced
take my
pill
pills
popper.
late at night when you're asleep.
When you're
okay?
asleep, yeah, exactly.
That's when I go get fucked up. So
Which, goddamn, odd hours.
yeah, and also for taking pills, like what are you gonna
What are
do?
you gonna do? Yeah, exactly. Like,
He's at work all
what are
day.
you writing a novel? Are
Infomercials?
you writing the next great American novel? Like, I don't get it.
But yeah, I do think he did both of those things because I think that there's just the day, turn the sink on, when she's in the house, things like that. He's subtly instilling this, I might not always be alone in my house, which is, I imagine, a very uncomfortable feeling to live with long term.
Yes, because we watched this movie encompasses about a year and a half.
Yeah,
Probably because she goes through a
9
whole
months.
pregnancy.
So yeah, probably about a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half, right? Yeah, because I mean, within that year and a half, he's willing to be able to, make enough of a buzz around the office to be able to lock down that next position.
Well, that and fuck over everybody else. That's
naturally, yeah,
up
for
for
sure.
Position.
Yeah.
Because he's a shark, not a sheep. Sheep got necks. Sharks don't have necks.
Exactly. He only looks forward.
God.
That's a deep cut Futurama reference for all you degenerates out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it totally tracks. I mean, this dude was born in the '80s, and I mean, he's an '80s guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I ever got both of your answers. Do you think that Gordo was justified in his means of revealing the truth?
Justified relative to what?
Your internal moral compass. What was that? What was?
I mean, if you're willing to spend the time.
Oh, is that what it was? He was like,
Yeah,
it
it's
seems
all
like an
about. I mean,
inconvenience.
it's honestly all about energy and intention for me.
I
You know what
really
mean?
have to say, like, I would always. I think Simon deserves what he gets. I don't think there's very much argument. Like, I just think, like, if you do shitty things and you continue to do shitty things might happen to you. But I always recommend that everybody who, like, experienced trauma relating to other people, like, let that shit
Just
go.
get over it.
No, not like get over it, but like
Quit being a
prioritize
baby.
yourself and your mental health and don't link it to what other people experience. Make it an independent thing.
Got therapist Hannah stepping in today as well.
I
Very good.
stop.
No,
No, I don't
I
think
agree with
anyone's
you.
justified ruining anyone's life, and I don't think it's a good move
Well, it's
for
kind of
yourself
interesting
either.
because that's sort of when I first watched the movie, that was one of the major takeaways for me is like, did Gordo do anything wrong, like really, really wrong at any point? I mean, he did drug his wife allegedly.
No, he did drug his
Trespassing.
wife. He might have raped his wife.
Yeah,
That's the thing. We
Yeah.
know for a fact he drugged his wife.
yeah.
Also, like, if someone walks in our house without us knowing about it frequently, we're both going to consider that pretty wrong.
But what if he sets up our cable?
Yeah, you can't just walk into someone's
Like
house
that
when
Jim
they're
Carrey
not there.
movie, The
And, like,
Cable Guy. Yeah. So
Oh shit! I forgot about
slowly
that.
but surely
movie.
worming your way into people's lives.
God.
That's actually a really good, like sideways analogy for this flick. Is the Cable Guy? Highly recommend for anybody
if
that's
only
never seen
if
it.
only the Cable Guy had known the guy that he had become.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Previous, yeah.
Yeah, that movie's even scarier because it's a straight up fucking stranger. Talk about scary. That movie's scary.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Justified, huh?
Yeah, because I came away. I remember feeling the first time I watched it like, I don't really know if Gordo did anything that wrong, except for maybe the drugging the wife thing. That's
Which
And
that,
maybe
that
the raping.
crosses the
Which I
line
thought,
for me.
which I don't even feel like he needed to do. Honestly, like
Yeah.
given everything that's going on, like that isn't even icing on the cake per se because his wife is already ready and willing to leave his ass anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
But if it is the case that he did sleep with her I just don't like the word rape. I know it justifies the word rape, but
even though you're saying it twice already outside of the context of when you needed to
if
use
it
it.
is the case that he did rape her while she was drugged, it's a possibility that the intention, like that baby is his and that was the intention. And that's a pretty big burn to add on top of everything
Talk about
else.
some cuckoo bird shit, huh?
Yeah. Well, say he didn't hypothetically rape her. Then do you guys think any of that other stuff is like really, really wrong as means to the end of like? Because it seems to me like Simon ruined his own job. For
I mean, what
himself.
else did he do?
He Simon basically ruined his marriage.
No,
by
no. I
himself.
mean, like, what else did Gordon do?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, I mean, you're right in that sense. It's like, which is why I feel that the whole him leaving that ambiguity, cool for the movie's sake. You know what I mean? Very thematically, it's a good place to end the movie because it means that Gordon wasn't such a victim the whole time. He is not a wet noodle necked guy. You know what I mean? Even though, like, I like to believe I am of the camp that he didn't rape his wife. You know what I mean? He just left this in this situation because he wanted to just mind fuck with him.
Yeah.
And I lean on that heavier because he used the monkey mask on him. You know, like he really just wants to like really get inside of his mind in that way. And I think that Gordon then becoming a rapist would fuck with his ability to be able to feel that like vindication, like
the catharsis.
yeah, the
that he's
catharsis,
looking
the
for.
genuine being like I am innocent of what he thinks that I did, but fuck yeah that he thinks that I would be that fucking dark. Because again, a liar can never believe never believe anyone else because they genuinely think the worst of everyone because they know they're the worst.
Yeah.
Which I think that line in and of itself kind of gives you the answer as to where Gordon spell
Hmm.
in the whole aspect of it, being like, I will never be as shitty of a person as you are, but at the same time, I want you to live with that nasty taste in your mouth that you are essentially leaving behind everywhere you go.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think where my take has a difference is Robin is like an innocent participant in this situation other than making a poor choice for a husband, and she has there's subtle psychological stuff going on that instills fear in her for months, and she gets drugged and none of this is fair to Robin, and she's the target of a lot of it to get to Simon, and I think that sucks. I think that's wrong.
Which is another one of the reasons why I don't believe Gordon touched her, is
Yeah.
because he sees her as a kindred spirit in the way that she has just been sucked into the vortex that is this shitty guy.
Simon Says.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And at this point, I'm going to try to see if, as I'm fucking with this guy, I can, demesmerize her from the gaslighting and, self
Mhm.
narcissism that this guy is you know, veiling his way through with her. I mean, this is showing my biases, which I really enjoy about about these deep cut conversations, is the fact that I really do feel like I side with Gordon in what he's trying to get at. Like, he is trying to be as effective as possible without sullying his hands too deeply. You know,
Mm.
doesn't hurt the dogs. Sure, he kills the fish. May they rest in the great ocean. But he at
The
least
great
did.
ocean in the sky.
He at least did purchase the fish. Yeah, he's not he's not fucking with anything that wasn't there prior to. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
He didn't kill their dog.
yeah, exactly. Um, so I mean, all of those things to me, right, kind of tiptoe me to his side in terms of it. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say in terms of what is justified and what isn't, because I mean, this movie does a great point about the fact that you have to be really careful about what you do and say, because you don't know how people are going to take it and how long people are going to sit on the shit that you do and say, and as a result of that, not having those kind of traumatizing issues inside of my mind, I don't know exactly where the proper gauging of it is, because in trying to say like, no, he crossed the line, I'm delineating that from the position of a person who hasn't dealt with that kind of trauma, and be like, and as a result of that, I don't know, feeling like as though I would be like delegitimizing what other people might actually find to be, more quote unquote fair, in terms of where things should land in terms of our lives, and like the consequences of our long-term decisions and stuff like that, especially having been the active victim of someone's lie to that degree.
Hmm.
Because like, this movie wouldn't make, like, if let's say that all of the facts were exactly the same, but Gordon was some sort of third party that's like, hey, I know that you knew, like, I know what you did last summerish kind of situation, right, where it's like, I'm not the person who you hurt, but I know you hurt somebody, and because of that, I'm gonna make you reveal it,
Hmm.
and like that taking on of somebody's third party pain, just like, it doesn't work in that same way, as opposed to like the actual hurt individual trying to figure their way through comeuppance.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I find so impressive about these the steps that Gordo takes is how much of a light touch can do so much work. Like how very little Gordo actually did throughout the movie to bring about, it was almost like he just put pieces in the right place to let Simon destroy his own life. And like, I know we've already gushed a little bit about like how methodical and like planned out like Gordo must have had all this stuff going on. But I think that's part of the reason that I side with your sort of take on the Gordo not being such a terrible guy, really, or not really crossing the line.
Not crossing his line, I
Right,
feel.
right.
Yeah, I don't know if we can have like the couple of times that I've heard, I don't think like I don't know if Gordon crossed the line. Like is just kind of blowing my brain right now
Okay,
because it's
with the one glaring
did a
exception.
couple things that are definitely illegal. Like
Yeah, the drugging and the other stuff.
let's stay out of people's houses. He broke and entered into two separate houses. He threw a dinner party in somebody else's house.
That's
Like,
just good old fashioned fun.
no,
right
stay
there.
out of people's houses.
That's just using the resources at hand.
Yeah.
I mean, how often are you
Yeah.
the driver of wealthy
The
people who happen
resources
to
at
be in
someone
Cancun?
else's
you know
hand.
what I mean? Exactly.
No, you're right. I mean, within movie land, I feel his situation was well justified.
Yeah.
Like the
Movie land.
universe that they exist in feels as though it's really trying to churn through to some sort of cosmic middle way. I mean, some sort of karmic middle way where like it won't forget the things that you know that it's almost like an idealized reality wherein like bad things still happen. You know what I mean? Bad actions and bad situations still happen, but it isn't left in the past. Like those things will have long-term through lines that will not die until you eventually are dealt with some form of consequence as a result of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, very movie landish kind of situation of it, but I think it's very cool because I mean, how many people don't feel that way? You know, I mean, if you want to talk about just general movie going catharsis that the movie could provide of being like, I'm sure that there are far more bullied than there are bullies, you know, just like there are more prey animals than there are predators out in the wild, right? So because of that, in terms of the people who watch this movie, I'm sure that they, you know, as a potentially bullied individual, being like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, how far is too far?
Drugging somebody, that's not biggie.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
not
I
a
wouldn't
biggie.
touch him though. See, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm just trying to mind fuck with the guy.
Well, and that's also like he took a risk of putting someone innocent through the same thing that he went through in another way, in some way or another. Because also, like, there's a possibility, a strong possibility that Robin will see that footage at some point through divorce negotiations or whatever it is.
Right on, yeah.
And she's not going to know what happened to herself. And that's like extreme trauma.
No, unless Gordon's smart enough to be able to have some sort of like auto scrub feature where like the moment the DVD's watched, they just
Can you put that on a? Can you auto scrub?
hey
I
man.
don't
Well,
know.
even
Gordo's
if
a
he tells
genius.
her,
Yeah,
you know, even if Simon just repeats that information to her.
Yeah, but I don't think
but
he
that's
would.
the issue, Hannah.
Yeah.
Who can trust a lie? Who can listen? Who can believe anything a liar says?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but she
and-
knows she didn't take pills that morning.
But
So she
that's
was
the-
feeling weird about the pass out, which would make me curious about it.
The benefit of the mask is like even if he did bring that up to her, she could just as easily
She'd think he was
you
poisoning.
did that. That's you in that mask.
Mhm.
I don't believe anything you say. You fucking liar.
Yeah. Yeah, like you pretended to be Gordon in order to
Gordon,
be
yeah.
able to like have me, you know what I mean? Like
You killed the
especially
fish.
because during that time, you know, he was actively trying to drive a stake between them in order to be able to not have anything else come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very, very good. Very good. You know, fucking Gordon covered his tracks. He is Batman villainesque levels of
It's a good villain.
mm-hmm.
It's a good it's a villain I can get behind.
Yeah, honestly.
Do you guys
This is a movie where the villain won, let's
Yeah.
say. You know,
I
like
love movies where the villain wins.
like because at the end of the day, right, I do feel that Simon was the protagonist. He was just a piece of shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like he just
Yeah, he's
had
not the villain.
Huh?
Yeah, like he's not the villain.
he's just a villain
Mhm.
in real life.
yeah. I mean, he's certainly a criminal in what he did.
the very least, right? Like
Yeah.
slander charges or something. He's probably very good about how he goes about stepping on people in his way.
Who?
Because he's been Simon.
Oh yeah.
Because he's been doing it his whole life.
You know, that's actually one of the biggest things that I was going to bring up is the fact that Simon's way of being is just a very high risk gambit, right? Because it has paid off quite handsomely, because quite a couple times, because we have to infer that he has done this at every stage of his life after
Forever.
high school,
Yeah.
right? He saw that this worked out okay. I'm sure he's probably fucking done this in college. I'm sure he probably did this if he went to graduate school. He probably did that shit too. No, he didn't go to graduate school. He's a salesman. You know,
Hey, he's
Yeah.
not-
he didn't fucking.
he just needs the 1 4-year paper.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
On
yeah.
to the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. You can only imagine when he was transitioning from district to regional, some sort of same bullshit situation like this. You know.
What's his name? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's all I need to steal his heart.
Yeah, in the worst way possible. Oh God.
I am so sorry, but now I'm thinking of Gordo as a phantom thief, and it's like fucking perfect. It's not even close thematically, but we'll move on.
Is this what we're gonna do now? We're gonna have inside Persona 5 jokes.
Now that means you
forever.
got to play the game.
And
you
I
know?
don't. It's too long. It's too long.
It's so long. Oh my god!
You can't make me.
Watch somebody
You
play
used
it.
to watch Supernatural, right? You can't talk.
I didn't finish it.
Oh, who did?
Nobody finished
No one did. No one finished Supernatural.
I think
all right?
that show
they
is
just
still
had
going.
they just had to finish their contract.
I
all
did
right?
probably
Yeah.
make it way too far though.
I mean, they were fighting the darkness where I last saw it. Are you fucking kidding me?
I did not know that.
You gotta get
Season
really
12,
creative
all
to
right?
top Satan.
It's dark.
They locked down Lucifer twice. Yeah, calm the fuck down. Like,
I
there's nothing
remember-
left to do.
I watched the show as it was coming out, and
Oh.
after they like completely shut
My
down.
condolences.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was enjoying it at the time, right? And like after they completely shut down the Satan issue, the Lucifer issue forever, I literally, like, as soon as that season finished dropping, and like I knew there was going to be more seasons in the future, I was like, what are they going to do after this? And then
Fight
it
the
just
darkness.
got crazy.
Random
What was
bullshit.
Leviathans? And, like,
Yep, they're just
No,
gonna-
wait a minute. What? Leviathans are season 7. Well, you know what? Let's not get too deep into it.
yeah, no, we can.
We'll save the supernatural
Yeah,
podcast
yeah.
for another day.
The Supernatural retrospective. Look
Oh,
out
God,
for it.
No, no. Make a community post. Put it as an option in the voting. And if any of you people click that button, unsubscribe.
No one can deny who saw it. The fact that the season 8 ending where all of the angels are falling out of the sky and that shit looked like fucking comets and like starbursts falling down looked badass.
It was so cool.
Woo! That shit was cool.
Oh, I was sold for the
Mhm.
first. Yeah.
I was like, heaven's closed and the angels can't come in? Fuck yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Badass.
Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway,
Gordon's an angel.
Gordon
move on.
is our angel. He's my personal hero. Okay. Yeah. Any other final thoughts? You guys
Gordon.
want to go into
Fat onto God.
fat? God damn it.
For the viewers, we were talking about how gordo means fat in Spanish, and Jose told us that it's a pretty intense form
Yeah,
of
it's
the word fat.
Yeah, it's the F word for sure.
It's the F word. Yeah. What did you say with the hard F?
Yeah, it's the hard F.
It's
yeah.
fat with a hard F.
Ooh,
I know we have a lot of viewers who are from, the deep East Asia. So yeah,
Yeah.
little American idiosyncrasies here.
There you go. That's why we're here to teach you that stuff.
Mhm. See,
See,
At least once a month. See.
yeah. Thank you for coming to class.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Do you guys want to do? You feeling ratings ready?
Mm-hmm.
Burning it?
In terms of down to earth thrillers, 5 out of 5. I mean, nothing crazy happened in this movie. Nothing about it really made me feel like, wait, what the fuck? How did he get from here to there? Kind of situation. You know what I mean? Like, I can genuinely believe that somebody could have done this to somebody. And I think that's cool, especially because I side with the bad guy at the end of it.
Always a good place to side at the end of a movie. Perfect. Hannah?
I'm siding with no one in this movie except I support Robin.
And her,
I think all the
and
men
as
in
a
this
single
movie
mother for
suck.
going forward, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you
best
know
of
what's
luck.
shitty though is she can't get no fucking alimony because that guy don't have a job.
Oh, yeah. He's got nothing. He probably will still have to pay alimony.
Yeah, I think it's like a child support type of
Oh,
situation
hell
where you
yeah.
just go
And
in
he's a
debt to her.
salesman, so you know he didn't have no 401k. He didn't have shit. All right?
Also, salesmen
Yeah.
though get fat like bonuses at the end of the year or commission usually for big sales jobs. You get like sometimes 80 grand at a time.
Oh no, for sure, yeah.
So that can just all go to her whenever that comes in. But yeah, I definitely don't take sides. I think that this is like most of the people in this movie suck kind of a situation. Um but I give this movie a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy it. I think it's entertaining. I don't like it didn't blow my mind like watching like The Witch does.
Yeah, I think initially, I think after the first watch and maybe up until we actually finished it the second time, I would also be on the 4 out of 5 train. But just the fact that, and I know it had been a long time since we'd watched it prior, but just the fact that it had me so in my seat, so uncomfortable, so on edge, always thinking what's going on, even though I knew the ending of the movie. I think that's gonna bring me back up. I think I'm sitting at a 5 as well. It's maybe one of the best ways to do a sort of mystery thriller. Um, and I just mean in terms of like timing of when they're gonna show you what information you get to know
Mhm.
when, and the angles that they push throughout the whole thing are very like subtle and also masterful, in my opinion.
It's such a great domestic movie because like the issues that are brought forth, you can really intersplice them into many people's lives, right? Because again, everyone was a child at one point. We all went through the middle school, high school aspect, and you were either the bullied or the bully for at least a couple months at any given moment,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And some people wore two hats, at the same time. And I think that this movie really could, hit people's heart in different ways as a result of that. It's like if you were a bully, right? It could twinge you in the sense that like shit, like are there people out there fucking that still hold that kind of like like dark rage, I mean, toward
Mm.
me in that way, and also as we spoke at length about the catharsis of being the bullied and actually having the universe be on your side to a degree in terms of having your having the comeuppance that you feel was was kept from you for so long. um that because of that, like it it doesn't alienate when it comes to viewership. You know, if you can, if you participated in the Western setting as a child, you can find a place to sit in terms of this movie. Even if, like Hannah, you end up feeling as though you don't actually want to root for anyone per se, aside from Robin, because she genuinely was a victim, right? Even from Robin's perspective, having been a bullied, right, she is now leaving a bully in that way.
This is exactly what you just said was really interesting because I was thinking about this during the beginning of what you were saying is and I wonder if it contributes to like our positions coming out of this movie
Mm-hmm.
too because like I could see someone who maybe was a bully in high school that doesn't feel like it's a big deal now in their adult life that could, be on Simon's side at the end of watching this because you're like he's worried about his wife. He doesn't want his
Mm-hmm.
wife stressed out, so he's
Yeah.
keeping that from her because she might take pills, if
Right
she's
on.
stressed out. Like there are reasonable justifications on all sides of this, and I think the reason that I'm like I don't care about that other stuff. I'm on Robin's side is because like I spent very little time in high school either bullying or being bullied. I had like a tight group of friends, and I mostly didn't interact very
And
much
you went to a
outside
high
of
school
that.
with like 30 people, right?
Yeah, it was tight, but there was a lot of bullying. I just was pretty fortunate and quiet. But I relate to Robin because my bully experiences have been manipulative ex-boyfriends, And that's what
Got it.
that's who I connect with in this story the most. And what you said, no, I'm not gonna like accusing you, but you said
You
something.
are pointing at him.
Yeah.
You said
My
something
hands are up.
to the effect of like, you wonder if someone has that sort of dark animosity towards me, and it makes me wonder if you were a bully and you felt that perspective in this movie.
No, me, I was bullied. Yeah.
I just because of the word me, you don't strike me as a bully type by any means, but I wanted to ask.
You think we'd be friends with this dude if we could tell he was a bully?
Well, you're a bully, so I'm just kidding.
Keep your
You
mouth
keep it
shut.
to yourself.
Like you both.
It's the last time.
we
It's the
both
last
learned
time
a
you hear
lot.
of Hannah.
You
Audience.
only think that because you're crazy.
Next time she'll be speaking with a slur.
No, but you guys both lean Gordon's side, so it tells me you guys probably relate to the bullied in the movie the most.
I think I just got done playing Persona 5 and I'm all about justice. Gotta exercise justice in whatever way
Vigilante.
I watch Death
Justice.
Note at least once a year, so I'm all about justice.
God, that's a real sad story. We should have a podcast about Death Note someday.
God.
Well, this has been great, man. Any final closing thoughts?
No, it was really, really great. Yeah. Yeah. My heart goes out to all the bullied out there. Yeah. Don't take it too deeply.
Yeah.
No. Not to say get over it, because who can, but
Leave the dogs out of it.
Yeah.
All right.
certain.
Yeah, don't take people's
They didn't do
dogs.
anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the wives, leave the wives out of it.
The wives.
Unless they're
Innocent spouses, whichever.
Dogs
Unless they
first,
also
wives.
deserve it. But you got to do your history. You got to do your research first.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Gordon felt really bad having to fuck with Robin. Like, oh, kindred spirit. It's like,
Yeah,
this
because she
dude's-
felt that way about him too.
Yeah, like, but this dude's that bad.
It's justified.
Well, he might have felt like he was saving her a little bit too. Is like, I'm exposing her husband as the piece of shit that he is, so that she can get out of this situation. And the baby.
I'm sure
won't.
that in terms of his way of rationalizing
Mhm.
things, right? Because you're 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes objectively speaking, you're right. There are no good people or bad people in this movie. Everyone was kind of fucked, aside from Robin.
Mhm.
She was just the most fucked with the entire way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he probably did hope to and seek to minimize her pain in all of this as much as you possibly could. But it's like, you have to break a couple of eggs, if you're trying to make a cake here. So
You gotta scramble a couple women.
Yeah.
And then
fortunately, it was only one
brains.
woman.
get them all
So
scrambled.
historically speaking, that's not that bad.
Yeah, it's true. It's good numbers.
What are we comparing it
Or no
to?
justice.
Historically.
Yeah, history, man.
History. Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're
Yeah.
comparing.
I don't know. if
And I
that's
mean,
the
only one
best.
woman was hurt. Holy shit! If only more stories get in this way.
We
Oh,
need
just
to,
one? Oh,
we need to
thank
push
goodness.
that bar up a little bit, I think.
To half a woman, the top half or the bottom half? Which one would you like to be hurt?
No.
No.
As a woman,
If I have to pick between my top half or bottom half being hurt, it's too generic. There's important stuff on both halves. You would have to be more specific.
Wise words.
yep, exactly.
Very wise. And that's why you come here to the Lethal Introspection podcast, is to get those kind of deep cuts
Zing,
and
zing.
the zings. We got lots of zings here, plenty of zings. And thank you all for joining us, and we will see you on the next Lethal Introspection. Good night,
Mhm.
everybody.
Happy June,
Good night.
everybody.
Yeah. Wait, June? Is that a-